That's right.
Okay, so we are live on FB.
All right.
Yeah.
And
So shall we begin?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is Swati Desai. I am on the advisory board of Samanvay. Samanvay is a platform that is dedicated to the preservation, promotion, and appreciation of Indian art and literature, as well as thoughts. So what we do is we arrange regular cultural and literary events, and we showcase world-class Indian talent as well as local artists. And what we do is we contextualize the performances. We make sure that different art traditions and literature are shown and displayed. And the whole purpose of doing this is, in fact, what we would like to do is to create a space for engagement between artists, thought leaders, audiences, collaborators, stakeholders, and patrons of Indian art to promote and create art, creation of Indian arts and literature. That is the whole purpose of Samanvay. And today we are going to actually have a very interesting discussion with two of my favorite artists. But before I introduce them, I would in fact like to open this up with what Carl Jung, the psychologist, what he said about art. What he said was, artist is not a person with free will. In fact, artist allows art to realize its purpose through him or her. In this case, we have two artists, him and her. He also said that as a human being, artists can have their moods, their personal aims, and all that. But when it comes to being an artist, then they have a higher sense. They are not just a human being, they are a collective man. I'm adding a collective man or collective woman. What that means is they are in fact a vehicle for the unconscious psyche of the mankind, not just them, but the humankind, the collective unconscious. That's what they're expressing. That's what Carl Jung said. So today we want to explore one aspect of that. Sanjeev and Vaishali, these two artists, I would say they're intellectual artists. And what does that mean? So Vaishali was an art student in JJ School of Arts, a pure artist all through and through. And then she meets Sanjeev. Sanjeev, on the other hand, has had an eclectic life. He graduated from TISS, worked in HR, and then he eventually became the senior vice president in Enron. And all throughout, he was also writing poetry, publishing books in Marathi, and translated award-winning poet. Eventually, he decided that he wanted to have some other medium to express himself, and he chose visual arts. So Vaishali and Sanjeev, they met each other. So Sanjeev was a philosopher, was interested in philosophy, psychology, spirituality. So he brought in the intellectual element. And when they met, this was around 96, 97, when they met, then in fact, they collectively influenced each other. And when I was talking to Vaishali, she said that basically he brought in the intellectual element of foundation to the art that she was already doing. And Sanjeev obviously needed someone like Vaishali's caliber in terms of creating the art, the idea that he had in his mind or in his head, to express that in the form of art. So together, I would say they complemented each other as yin and yang, Shiv Shakti, and they are a force to reckon with. And today I'm hoping that I can show you what I mean by a force to reckon with. I love what they create, and I'm hoping that we can in fact communicate to the whole audience what their art is about. While we are doing that, what we are going to explore is, if artists, like Carl Jung says, do they really have some special sensitivity to their surroundings? Do they pick something from their environment that some other people like us are not able to, or we don't pay attention to it? And let's see, I'm going to talk about 3 stories from Vaishali and Sanjeev's art life to illustrate this idea of the extra sensitivity that artists may be holding. And I'll get to those stories. But before I get to these 3 stories, I'm going to start with Vaishali and Sanjeev's personal life. So I'm going to ask Vaishali a question. Okay, Vaishali, I'm going to unmute you. I'm going to ask you this question. So you and Sanjeev work together since 96, 97. You are partners in life, in art. You live in the same house, a beautiful house, which also is a studio. You work together 24/7. You create all these beautiful pieces of art. It's about thinking. It's about your heart. How does that work? Do you argue with each other? Do you sometimes, get into long fights and don't talk to each other for 3 days? I mean, how does that work? It's not just 2-3 years. It's been like almost 23, 24 years, right? That you have collaborated with each other.
Yeah, actually, you said that that we met in 1996, but we started collaborating in 2005. Actually, it's a very long time where we understand each other. Basically, when we are sharing our thoughts with each other, actually, I'm very much influenced with Sanjeev's thoughts, okay, his thought process. And when I learned a lot from him, and actually I admire that, and I try to create from that. And the way he has taught me, actually, it has happened that we never decided that we'll collaborate with each other. This happens is very spontaneous, that that one day we decided, okay, let's do this installation because that installation was based on a Sanjeev's poetry. That is all that Vana do. And there we started creating the forms, developing the forms, and it got continued with now so many years. This never happened. Like I will never say that we never fight, right? Like yes, this happens, but it's like we understand that okay, because that when the artist do sketches and when he do the painting, this is his own, he does with his own energy and all meditative works, and he creates his own creation. There we don't disturb each other, okay, because
Okay.
that's the space where we both are individuals. And
Yeah.
after finishing that work, when we come together and again we discuss, then we explore so many more dimensions to the work. Many times we like each other's ideas, what we are developing while composing, and then slowly we develop the work. So for the work process, I think so. I'm his disciple, and we both work. So that's why there is a respect and there is a understanding we have. That's good.
Okay.
So we can
So,
work.
Vaishali, did you say you think about yourself as his disciple when you're working together?
Yes,
Because
as an
if
concept,
that's what
yes.
you said, I think you have made all husbands in this audience jealous.
No, but yes, I'm truly I'm telling you
Yeah.
that's true. That I
Yeah,
don't
that's
want to say that.
wonderful. Yeah, that's wonderful. And actually, before we go ahead, I would like to give the audience a glimpse into your type of art, because there are a lot of different types of art. Some is realistic art, some is more conceptual art, some is religious art, some is non-religious daily objects art. So your art, tell me if I'm right, would you say it's more conceptual?
Yes,
Because what you see is not the whole thing. There is something, there's some concept or some thoughts that are trying to jump out.
yes.
And
So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. You tell me. You're saying something. Huh.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to actually show a piece of art from your repertory of art works. What you do is in the beginning, when you were both developing, you were doing paintings, but slowly you started using a lot of different mediums. You started using a lot of installation type of work where it wasn't just like one painting, but 2 or 3 objects juxtaposed together,
Hmm.
correct?
Hmm.
Okay, so let me show you one thing, okay? And then let's see where that takes us. Okay, so I'm going to show this one piece by Sanjeev and Vaishali. Okay, so this one is called Wingless Cupid on Carpet. So the reason I'm showing you this is, okay, let's say you are in an art gallery and you see this piece. So you're just passing by and you see this piece, it seems beautiful. It will attract your attention. And so what's this? It has like these really pretty border and there is some nice colors and different, sort of patterns together, and it's attractive. So you feel curious, then you go close to it. And then what do you see? First of all, you see the title, which is Wingless Cupid, and it's a carpet, Wingless Cupid. And so you're wondering, what is the artist trying to say? Okay, so it goes one layer deep. And then you see the painting from, or this is from close. This actually is embroidered. Isn't that right, Vaishali? This is not painted.
Yes.
This is actually embroidered.
No,
So
no.
you are amazed at,
Yeah,
wow.
actually,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
it is embroidered. But if you see the skin, is the skin has a mineral pigment. Is
Yeah,
so that the skin is the painted one. The rest is embroidered.
embroidered, right. So you see
Yeah.
the intricate embroidery, you see the combination of paint and embroidery, and you get
Yes.
attracted to, you're wondering about it. But then, even then, you don't know exactly what it's saying. So you see what your art does, it looks beautiful, patterns, colors, so you feel attracted to it, you feel intrigued, you feel curious. But then as you go closer, you have to use your head and a lot of times even your phone to Google some of the concepts. Like in this case, this particular piece, art piece, comes from a series of paintings that you have done or work you have done, embroidery plus painting work. And the name of this series is Imp in the Garden and Other Fairy Tales. Hashtag New Mutants. New Mutants. So what is that about? So hold, don't tell me what that is about, because we are going to come to that towards the end of this presentation. I'm just trying to give a glimpse into how your art works on people. Okay, so now that I have done that, let me go to Sanjeev and I have a question for him. Okay, so Sanjeev, we want to now get to the three stories that I mentioned in the beginning of the specific sensitivity that artist has. Okay, so let's start with story number one, which is the most relevant to us. We are right now experiencing Corona crisis, COVID crisis, right? And then I saw something in your art and I'm going to put it up there and I would like you to explain it, okay? Let me share it and then you can explain what it is about. Okay, so this is the installation. So can you go ahead and talk about it, Sanjeev, and let us know what this
Well,
is?
this is in 2018, we had a series of works called Ragamala, Songs of Anthropocene. And
Song of Anthropocene.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
and the whole idea was about how the world is changing around us with the variety of things which especially big capital and the greed of a big capital is changing our world, our environment, and variety of things. And in this there was a lot of embroidered works, and on the other side there was this sculpture, and the sculpture was made out of mm, this dumping yard where a solid waste of uh, any in Mumbai, solid waste is dumped there. So we had taken a small portion of that thing, and it was compressed together. And we were saying that this is the way the world, this is the way uh, the world ends. And this particular line was taken from mm, T.S. Eliot's poem Hollow Men, the line goes, "This is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper." And to create this whole thing, we had another element to this sculpture was a huge wall culture. I mean, behind this sculpture, you can see a huge wall culture where a variety of things which basically flag out some change, and some drastic change is is coming into the air, and things are going to be different soon. That kind of events were chosen from one of my poem called Paiwao Hakak, which is again a kind of a monkey language, when monkeys tell each other that this particular place, this particular just forest, jungle is no more suitable for us to stay here, because things have changed, and the environment is dying out. We need to go out from here. That was the poem which I was writing for a long time, where I've collected variety of incidences, events, news items from science, technology, and day-to-day life, which basically flag out that something unseen, unknown, something eerie, something weird is coming to inhabit this planet. And one of the thing was, as that can be seen, which I had picked up, that WIVI-CoV virus present in Chinese horseshoe bat is now fully ready and equipped to invade the human race. So this was very particularly written. Besides that, on the wall text which we have put up there, we are very clearly mentioned that what we have fear that some kind of epidemic might come. It may be malaria, dengue, or something else, and it will have some unprecedented altitudes and latitudes this time, not just the same geographical area. So this is what we had written there. And I think this is a general fear I had, like kind of apocalyptic situation, not exactly the way apocalypse is shown in most of the Hollywood movies, but basically some kind of fear, some kind of angst with poet or writer or artist has in his mind, and when he sees the things around. And in this particular case, what happened is exactly, I mean, we talked about that virus which is present in Chinese bats, and that was a very interesting thing. I was also surprised to see this when I saw this back again, because I was not expecting that this will happen so soon.
Yeah, you said it. This particular sculpture, and you see the writing behind the sculpture. I'm showing it to the audience. It actually has this Chinese horseshoe and all these, and the virus that come from there. All these things are mentioned specifically, right? And it turns out to be true 2 years from then, and we are actually experiencing the effects of it. So you sense something, there was some uncomfortableness or something you were experiencing in your mind. But okay, so that's one thing, okay, because maybe you heard Bill Gates 2015 TED talk. Maybe you, because you were reading science journals, you were just thinking, yeah, maybe this is what could happen. So one can say that, okay, there is a reason why you might have thought that. And other people were not paying, but you were paying attention to it. Other people were not probably paying attention to it.
More important is, I mean, what happens is this kind of news which we read every day, one or other day, I mean, some other thing keeps coming in our newspaper. I mean, when I look at it, using it as an art material is something interesting for me, because some of the news items definitely tell me that, oh, this is telling you something different, and this needs to be attended. And the whole news then become not just news, but it becomes a kind of a thing which I need to portray again. I think, and the whole that small knowledge, information itself changes into a work of art.
Yeah,
that's very important.
Right. So that's what happened in 2018. Vaishali, do you have anything to add to it? What was your role in creating this piece of work? Did you guys talk about it? Did he actually convince you of what he was saying? How did it go?
This was particularly, actually, this was a poem which was written by, part of the poem, long poem which I wrote, which I told you, Pau How Hakak. So what happens was, when we decided to take this poem, we started discussing with each other, and this poem, I said, this is the thing which will be part of our raw material when we build up the sculpture. And then we discuss this poem. That's how it went on. So generally what happens in writing a poem or this kind of a thing, the collaborative effort starts subsequently when we keep the material together and then build up a kind of a shape or structure or a form out of it. That's how it happens.
Okay. So then once you decided what you were going to portray, then you collected the material and then you came up with the idea of how it was actually going to happen, right?
Right.
Actually quite amazing, to see the specific mention in the back. So
true. And I was also surprised equally when I saw it again and again. I went to that whole thing. I remember I was trying to see the photographs again and again and say, oh my God, this is there.
Yeah. So one other thing
here I want to say something. Actually, this project which we have done for the Anthropocene, actually that project we are working for almost you can say 5 years. Okay, the 5 years, that research work and so much work we have done before, and where we started executing the work as an individual art pieces. So it is so much thoughtful process where each and everything has to be properly placed, where the people can understand what we're trying to say in a simpler way. So addition to that, when Sanjeev was writing a similar thing through his writing and through his poetry, so this was the one of the part which he has written. So we thought that actually this is giving an addition dimension to the whole concept. So we decided to add into it. And to describe that thing, it was necessary to put that particularly sculpture. Which you right now you mentioned.
Okay, so this whole series that you have been working on for last 5 years, you are saying it's called Songs of the Anthropocene. What is Anthropocene? Can you tell us? This is what I mean by, to understand your art, sometimes you need the...
Right. Anthropos and scene, and basically it's a concept recently all scientists have accepted that it's a new time period which is started with the human activity, or human has shaped and created this new epoch, new time period. And generally it has been regarded that from the James Watt's kettle which went up in 16th century, 17th century, from onwards, that they say that man really changed the nature, man really changed the relationship between nature and man, and that's why this period is called Anthropocene. But of course, we in our all works, specifically, though we call it Songs of Anthropocene, we specifically mention that it's not that poor man, a small man has changed it. It's always the big capital which has changed the situation around us. So if at all guilty, it is not Anthropocene, but we call it Capitalocene these days.
So you were working for Enron, right, Sanjeev? So starting from Enron, how did you become anti-capitalist, if you are?
I think that's a big, we will need a separate
question
thing for it. It's quite big, but still I can answer it.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
I went there as an accident and then continued there. Again, I mean, that's a huge political process I'll have to explain. But I always, I remember there also or outside also, I was always questioning variety of things, whether there or outside. And in fact, that experience gave me more material to become what I am today, asking questions about the whole idea of this theory of capitalism. And I became a critic of it, and ultimately decided to leave the entire thing and work full time on this art and poetry and writing.
Expression.
And writing specifically for a kind of writing which I do. I mean, about the left activities, about movements, about people working for the for have-nots, people working for the downtrodden. And so it was a big decision and big change. But of course, that requires a separate this thing. It will, because I like to talk a lot of politics in it. I mean, how did I join? I mean, the whole idea of this is 90s period when we had a different kind of a economic and political structure. That was a period when Manmohan Singh had opened up the economy. The world around things were changing. 91, when communist Soviet Russia had fallen down, the last bastion has fallen, and variety of things were happening in the world that time. Idea of globalization, idea of information technology, computer, PCs. I mean, mobile phone came much later, but lots of things were happening and things around us were changing. And so the decision of government of bringing large capital here was one thing which was needed at that point of time. So variety of those things I have to talk about it, and then again I have to tell why did I change. So that's a totally a new
topic. Maybe we can have another event.
Sure.
Discuss that. No, seriously, because it's an important subject, right?
Yeah.
Idea of political system and what it means. I have a question for you from the audience. Someone, Pravina, is asking if the writing on the wall, is it collated from different texts or written and created by you guys?
No. What I'm doing is from 2002 onwards, I believe. I'm collecting variety of such kind of things, which news items from science journals, from political journals, from speeches of leaders, variety of things I keep collecting, which I find that there's something freaky about it, something different about it. I remember I was a very good friend or kind of close to Vijay Tendulkar. I remember his project of Freaks Show. And he always used to say this one thing, and subsequently it was by some of the mutation scientists also said the same thing. Unless you understand the change, the mutation, the mutation process, you'll not be able to understand the normal things also. So this, wherever there is a freaky thing, where there is something eerie is happening, I always used to keep my antennas open and collect those things. So I had, and I call it an unending poem. Recently, I read this poem also at one of the gatherings at Kitab Khana, and so they were collected from various things, and variety of things. And sometimes I also create my own. Like they may not be true, but sometimes in this, what I do is the real, unreal, I put it together so that it becomes like the kind of world which we're living. So sometimes I create my own news items, which comment from politics to science everywhere.
I see. Okay. Pravina is also asking do you think COVID is good because it brings down the capitalist scene?
I know it. Anything that brings down capitalist scene is good. If it brings down nothing like it, it brings down nothing like it. But unfortunately, I mean, yes, some of us, we have a hope that at least people now are thinking about things which were forgotten, like public hospitals, the whole idea of public space, for example. The whole idea of public space is being redesigned, rethought of. Hope that now we spend money in a right manner, and hope that the people now understand that what are the wrong things we've done. But unfortunately, what I see is it may not, I mean, I don't know, it will happen, nothing like it, hope against hope. But if this again gives benefit to a few people and the whole patenting, etc., variety of things are going to come forward. And also, we also have seen in this whole period at how social distancing had created a huge distance between human beings. We have also seen cruelty, variety of things we have seen. So I mean, my fingers are crossed. I don't know whether we'll end up into a right thing or a wrong thing. But this is difficult right now.
Yeah. So like you said, you are absolutely right. I mean, you are bringing in a lot of very important issues that are on the minds of different people in different ways. But we probably will need to have another event. It's a really interesting topic, like where we are all going. Are we going in the right direction, or are we going in the same direction that we were before? So let's move on to your art again. And so now I'm going to actually talk about the second story. Okay, so one would think that, okay, whatever you were talking about in this Corona crisis, about Corona crisis in 2018, is it like a pattern? So let's see. Okay, so I am going to show the audience another piece of work that you have done, another series that you have created, and that one is done in marble. This one is marble, by the way, and
Marble
it's
inlay.
marble
Marble
inlay. Yeah, right.
inlay.
Marble as in, yes, right. Marble, but it's cut, and there is this, everything, the pattern you see is an inlay. I have actually seen it in your house, in your studio house. It's amazing. The whole thing right now, it's hard to imagine it in this little picture, but it's like a big piece, right? It's like almost as tall as a human being, you would say.
Yeah, 6 feet.
Right. And that one, this particular one is from a series called Acquire, Merge,
No,
and
this is from Kegel exercise.
Is this from Kegel exercise? Okay,
Kegel,
so you have Acquire, Merge, and Collaborate. That's another series that also has the marble inlay work, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is this marble inlay. This is another type of medium you work with. This, I believe, is unique. I mean, there is marble inlay work in India, in the ancient art also, from Rajasthan and from these kinds of places. But this particular pattern, what are you trying to say? And can you tell me a little bit of a story of what you predicted? This was in 2007, or is it the other one?
Just 2007, right? You're right, absolutely right.
2007, but this is
also
it's
right. Yeah, there's also marble inlay.
Yeah. And this one is called Triumph of Market. So can you tell us stories about the stock market? And this was in 2007. This is an important year.
Yeah. So if we go back to that earlier.
Vaishali, what are you saying?
We'll have to go back to earlier one.
Okay, I see. Okay. All right. This one. Okay.
Yeah. This is from 2007. And prior to that, in 2005, we have done one large installation, and I had used ticker tape, that stock market ticker tape, as a kind of a background or a wall skin of the entire exhibition. And we had used some mirrors also, and we used to get some distorted images. From those distorted images, we were discussing about them, and then this idea came that this stock market can become a major image of our times, because that's like a demigod continuously flows around everywhere, every day, morning, evening, and night. We keep listening about how is market doing, and most important question, as if that is going to decide everything of our life. And we know that market ultimately, I mean, right now, deciding everything around us. So we decided this is how it is. And then it was, we had taken some electronically microscopic pictures of pelvic muscles. Now, for example, this one was titled the levator ani, one of the pelvic muscles. And we connected the whole activity with the sexual activity of, the whole idea of sex and violence in the market. So that was brought into this whole image, and this image was created in a marble inlay. Again, marble, because something which is very iconic, something historical, something. It always done in marble. Now all our gods are in marble. They're marble sculptures, or the history of marble, that Mughal history also is there. So we thought this is the right medium, and yes, it was the right medium. It looks also beautiful here. So that's how this whole piece was created. Number of pieces. This whole series was there. 4 or 5 pieces was shown at Pandora Gallery. And again, for the art, it was a new thing, because stock market was not a normal image for the art. And this whole image of stock market came into the art from that exhibition. I remember discussing this with a number of people. most important thing, it was showing chaotic situation in the market. And therefore, some of the people used to ask me that this was 2007, markets were very good. People were, I mean, there were booms and people were selling good. Our art was also being sold fantastically. So everything was good at that time. And this particular thing, this exhibition, also the other one, Acquire, Merge and Collaborate, we had published one paper, a small essay from Robin Blackburn, one of the important figures in economics and teaches in Columbia University, was also editor of New Left Review some time back. And he had talked in 2005 itself about the subprimes and how it is going to affect the market subsequently. And that time everybody was laughing at it. And I had sent my images to him also. And we had some correspondence on email, and he was really happy with my images. He said, "Oh my God, what I'm talking in economics, you're talking in visual art." So we were quite happy with this kind of correspondence. But of course, people were not. I mean, people were saying, "Oh my God, why are you showing the market is melting, etc., etc." That's how it is. It's going to happen, and because this market is associated with huge greed and deceit, and whatever is associated with greed and deceit will ultimately has to melt down. So that's how it started. It was not a prediction or something. I do not understand any market. I do not even play in any market. I don't know how the market works. But definitely, I could see that this one force is driving everything in this neo liberalism and neoliberal economy. So I thought this is how the image can be built. Then discussing with Vaishali, of course, we could. We give the final form and structure to this whole idea. And this is how the marble inlay came up. In one piece of this marble inlay, I think almost few thousand pieces of small marbles must have gone in. And it was quite laborious process. We were learning completely new medium. It was fantastic experience. I remember 2007 when we were working on it. When the first piece was done, I was like dancing that day. Like, this is a fantastic thing it was.
Yeah, that must have been some feeling. But what you're talking about is the chaos you see here with numbers and all that. You were thinking about the chaos in the stock market. Pawan wants to know, when was this done? What month and year were you doing this? 2007.
We showed it in 2007, but I remember we were doing it in 2006 itself. Because I remember my correspondence with Robin Blackburn was towards the end of 2006. And we published his essay also with this whole work in the exhibition at the exhibition time. So this was there somewhere in December, I think September, November. We started, I think, in September 2006. The first piece was ready. Of course, this large piece took longer time, and finally it was shown in August 2007 at Pandola Gallery.
Okay.
And it was much before Lehman Brothers and all that, which happened in
the
2008 August.
Yeah. So Sanjeev, I want to point, not me, from the audience, Pawan is pointing out to an interesting fact. You want to hear this? He's saying that the number 75.35 in the picture is incidentally the USD INR coronavirus as of today.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I think, you know what, I think you should become a guru with, long hair and all that. Start forecasting things. I think you'll make more money that way. But
interesting.
Isn't that interesting? Okay. So Praveena is saying that it reminds her of Picasso's Guernica during the war. And those faces embedded in the work, she's saying fabulous. So she sees the Guernica faces in the work here. That's cool, right?
That's a very nice comment. Yeah.
So, okay, but somebody else is bursting our bubble. He's saying that it's not 75.35, it's a 175.30. No, it's not one. That's not one. That's just part of a triangle from the other thing. Smith, it is 75.35. Okay, so so that's the story. And as you said, that you in fact corresponded with the Columbia professor, and he was saying to you like, wow, what I am saying in my work, you are
in economics.
saying in art. And that time nobody was predicting it. But Raghurajan did predict the market fall, right? There were people.
And my idea was not prediction. Basically, I was,
Yeah.
worried about the whole situation, the way it was going on, and how it is affecting our day-to-day life. So I was not in economics. I was not in predicting market. I was just creating. I had some angst or fear in my mind.
Yeah.
And that fear was coming out because we did some paintings, we did some marble inlays, and the whole. Whenever I revisit that whole project, I mean, that's a lot of fear that what's happening, where are we going? I mean, the entire world is as if, ready for buying and selling kind of thing. So that's the thing was that. So it was a fear, there was a...
Yeah, you are absolutely right, because I remember, I mean, even for me, I was in the US at that time, and it was surreal, like everybody was like buying things, borrowing money, like they were buying yachts, they were buying, like
Right.
the whole home theater in your backyard and all these kinds of things. I was very uncomfortable, like where is all this going?
Yeah.
And the idea of decadence, right? Like Roman
That
Empire,
idea of decadence.
all the empires have fallen after they reach this decadence. So in any so again, that's something to think about. So what you're saying is you were sensing something. You were sensing something as an artist from the environment. Yeah. Vaishali, what was your role in creating this?
See what happened when this concept we decided to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
So the major challenge was that how to implement. Like the imageries and the thought which Sanjay was thinking about, that using micro images of organ which give us the pleasure, and put it in about this numeric numbers. That was the major challenge. And after that, the major challenge was that technically how it should get executed. If you see, this technique is very complicated. This normally we have used it in a Taj Mahal. And I think somebody asked this question that what is the base of this work? So actually there I want to give a clarity while explaining about the technique. This particularly, the thickness of this work is a 3.4 inches. It's not only the 1 inch. Okay. And the size of this work is 6 feet by 4 feet. So when we are doing this work, we are using the layer into layer work. Like if I'm using a blue color, then I have to dip that blue area, and after putting the blue area, then we grind it. So after that we can see the color. Then again the redip the other color. And again this process goes on. It's like that complicated. Okay. So actually my role was that how to do it, how to implement it, and in the visually how we can go for a more simpler way to understand it, because the complex which you both have right now discussed about it, it was really difficult task, that how to explain, and I think so that you have to tell me that we have achieved that or not. So I was working for that.
Yeah. So your pieces of your art pieces have increasingly become complex, I would say, as in, it requires confluence of a lot of different things. It's the thought, what you're trying to explain, but then also choosing the right material, the right medium, and then to work with it. So there is difficulty and skills involved in any new material that you choose. And then the art part of it, like how does it artistically look like? And a lot of times to bring from here to here is difficult, right? That's a very difficult thing. To bring your concepts into the shape or form where you are conveying something from your heart to other people. So somebody's asking how heavy is the marble piece. Can you just describe? I mean, I remember this to be almost as tall as
it's 6 feet by 4 feet.
It's not that heavy.
But it's not that heavy in a sense. It is on a wall.
This is a 60 to 70 kg.
So it can be installed on a wall. Is that what?
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
We have installed this on a wall only.
Yeah, it was outside your house when I went there.
Yeah.
It was like standing outside your house. So I just want to say one thing, you have a beautiful studio house with lots of art, your own as well as collected, and two dogs.
3 dogs.
Oh, okay.
Three.
I see. Okay. So I'm now going to move to the next part, the story number 3, and then we'll talk about what it means. Okay. So the story number 3, I don't have an image, but Sanjeev, you were telling me in 2003. So first we started with 2018 Corona crisis, then we went back to 2007, not predicting, whatever you were sensing the collapse or feeling the discomfort. Then let's go back to 2003 when Iraq war had started. So tell me what came to you at that time.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I mean, this is experience. I write. I mean, I'm a poet and a writer also. So one of the days, I think 2003 beginning somewhere, I wrote. Suddenly, I got some. It was a very painful experience for me. I suddenly got up from my bed and I had some pains all around, and I asked for paper and this thing to. Vaishali was there in the studio, and I started writing continuously, and I wrote one poem, and then I read this poem out to few people. Generally, what happens in those days, and even today also, many times when I write something, I always read out to few very close friends, and one of them is Kumar Ketkar. So I read this poem to Kumar somewhere late in the night, and of course he said it's a very painful poem, etc., etc. And then we forgot about it. As I mean, most of the times poems are people listen to it and then forget, unfortunately. So, and after a year or so, maybe not a year or 8, 9 months down the line, one fine morning, Kumar Ketkar called me. This poem was titled as a Rap on the Acid. And he called me and he said, oh my God, Sanjeev, your poem has been published in New Yorker. I said, oh my God, from when New Yorker started publishing Marathi
poems in New
So he
Yorker.
said, no. He said, Samuel Hurst's report has come on Abu Ghraib, and it is like exactly what you said a few months back. And it is like, he said that the incidents is the whole story of your poem and the Saddam Hussein, etc. Everything is there in that report, and you must read it. And when I read it, I was really surprised that some event, especially the main event, which was publicly criticized all over the world, that what happened in Abu Ghraib prison, that was exactly as if I had seen it earlier. Now, I don't know how did this happen. Recently, Amol Palekar and Sandhya had asked me to write one essay on this whole process of this particular poem, and I wrote about it. How did this happen? So I think this was something unbelievable for me also, because I wrote it. I didn't know at that time there's something going to happen like this. I of course knew Saddam. I at least knew Iraq. I always knew America. I always knew the rest of the world. But I never wrote it in that way. But somehow it happened, and I saw it again after some months. So this is something interesting.
Yeah, that is, in fact, that is very, very intriguing. That's what was happening, all the atrocities or all the wrong things that were happening to people in Abu Ghraib. You were sensing it somewhere. Now, I'm not getting into like any airy fairy stuff, but I'm thinking about, the idea of synchronicity, which exists in the psychologist Carl Jung's writing, that things are not just a coincidence, that there is a reason as in there is something that you are sensing, there is some energy that's going from one place to another. I wonder, I don't know if you felt something that was coming to you from things that you had read, expected, or just they were happening somewhere else.
I don't know. I remember one thing. There was acute pain with which I got up. There was a pain in my body, and I wrote the whole thing. Sometimes, but I feel that all of us, all of us are writers, all of us are poets, all of us are artists. and we all are have some antennas, and somehow I think the pain is one such thing which comes very easily to us. The antenna gets that sensation of pain or somewhere something wrong happening. That kind of feeling it is caught by our antennas easily. And I think when I wrote this, the actual that those things were happening in the Abu Ghraib, uh, there was huge pain in the entire Iraq. So I don't know. Somehow that pain
Yeah.
must have reached, and it got translated into whole thing.
Something, right? Yeah. So that's what we were trying to explore. Do artists have some sensitivity? And like you said, we are all artists and writers in some sense. However, some people are able to use that or hone that so much more. Some of us, we kind of forget our original capabilities, right? We used to be animals. We used to be probably good at sensing the environment, but because of the civilization that we have built around us, maybe we have forgotten it to a certain degree. But when you are open to it as an artist, maybe it changes things for you. I want to read out a question to you, Sanjeev and Vaishali. Not a question, I guess it is a comment probably. Sachin is saying there can be different angles to see and understand the creativity. If I can relate to current economic situation, it can also indicate that the focus business segments can change according to requirements and need. Example, the travel, F&B, real estate is now in red arrow, and medical equipment and pharmacy now in green arrow. Focus will keep changing. That's what he's saying. So there are different angles to understanding creativity is something that he's referring to. Okay, so my question to you, yeah, you are right. The pain we do have an antenna for pain. We are watching out, right? Evolution suggests that we have to watch out for any danger that is there around us. So because we want to survive. But how about pleasure? How about something that is pleasant, something that is beautiful? Do you think artists sense that too?
Of course, of course. I mean, I must be, because the entire idea of this landscape painting we have in beautiful landscapes, and there's one saying that the landscape painting which has got water into it is liked more by the people, because I mean, think we all as a human being, when traveling and wandering around, and we used to settle with the water bodies. So water body and we have got some, as a human being, we got some different connection. So definitely, like this kind of thing, the pleasure things are many. I mean, from nature to your bedroom, and everything is part of the art, and art shows some the pleasures unseen also. So
Yes.
so it's a different kind of a flower, for example. uh, I remember there is, I think, Darwin's grandfather or someone, I don't, who wrote a book on the sex of the plants, or flowers, which was criticized at that time and banned also for some time. So he was a botanist, but if you look at those sketches which they have done and published in that book, they are like, well, fantastic works of art of pleasure. And, and on the other side, there's a lot of science in it. A beautiful book it is.
Yeah.
I don't remember the correct name, but he is from the Darwin's, I mean, either grandfather or something. So something like that. So there is pleasure, of course, is there. Pleasure and pain, the demarcation lines are, are very blurred lines many a times. You cross one thing and it becomes pain, and cross one thing becomes pleasure. That's one thing. Of course, the whole idea of political pain is totally different, and we basically are more focused onto those things.
Yeah, you are more sensitive to
Yeah,
those things, is what you're saying. But it is interesting because even when you see a beautiful painting, like it could be a master painting, it could be about Jesus Christ, let's say.
yeah.
So, but what you see there is pain, but the pain is shown in a really beautiful way. So there is that interesting, blurring of
Yeah.
like the line that you're talking about between pain and pleasure. So I actually at this point, so these are the three stories that actually suggest that you have, in some sense, managed to sense something that was coming. Um, it almost sounds like you both are clairvoyants, and I'm a little bit afraid of asking you this question. What are you predicting now? But before we go to that question, in fact, maybe I should say a little bit about your background, like where you are coming from. Is that okay, Sanjeev? And then we will go to, like maybe that will shed some light onto what made you clairvoyant. So I have to say how I know Sanjeev. So Sanjeev and I, we grew up together. Okay, not together, side by side in the same town in Maharashtra. And this was a long time ago. I can't tell you how long ago because that will give away our age. However, what I want to say is we didn't really talk to each other because in those days, boys and girls, they didn't really talk to each other, right? But our cousin, my cousin was your friend, and that's how we you grew up next to each other. But even to my cousin, I never talked to him in school because he was a guy. So it was that. But then later on, I used to hear about you from my cousin, like all the things you were doing. Then eventually, WhatsApp group of all the old kids from that period was started. And everybody used to basically send good morning flowers to each other. And then came Sanjeev. And Sanjeev posted, I guess, directly from his Twitter. All his Twitter messages started being posted on that group. And I was like, what is this? I was not happy with the good morning flowers. And then when I read his material, I was like, okay, this guy is like just freaking everybody out. Then I wrote to you and I said, I came from the US, right? In the US, generally speaking, the tendency is to make everything accessible to people. But in India and in Europe, it is okay to use certain language, like certain language that is like terminology and some kind. And then you said, yeah, you are using that language because it has been developed in the field of sociology and it's a quicker way to express what you're saying. That's the reason why terminology gets created. So that's how we started talking to each other. And then eventually I visited you in your Chembur art studio and I was amazed at your art. Both of you are very, very impressive. I mean, your house and what you create was very, very impressive. And so that's how I guess I got to know about the two of you. So what I want to show is in 2003 or 2005, 2000, or even before that, what were you guys doing? Like what was your early art? Okay. Let me show people that, audience that, and then, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So.
Yeah. This is much before that, right?
Yeah. So this is Vaishali's art. I don't know. Maybe
this is again our. This is Vaishali's art. Yeah.
This is hers, right? Yeah, this one is from 1996. This was the time when you guys were meeting.
It's oil paint.
So this is an oil paint on canvas. And coming from JJ school, I mean, I guess it is in this image, it is sort of hard to see, but it's very skillful. But even at that time, she wasn't just doing totally realistic paintings.
She was talking about woman, the freedom of woman, how the women have been,
locked up,
etc. So those things were coming from her paintings. I remember those. This particular painting, I remember quite well.
Right. So even the beginning of her painting, although she acquired all the skills, she wasn't just showing reality. Well, that's not the right word. Wasn't just painting realistic paintings, but was trying to
painting her own thoughts. Yeah,
her own thoughts, right. And you, on the other hand, this is your work. When was this? Can you explain this?
This is, I think, in somewhere 2002 or 2003, maybe. But it's very interesting work you've chosen. This is Hala the Cosmic Traveler.
Yes.
Now,
wait. First, let me say the name of the title of this painting again. Hala the Cosmic Traveler. None of your titles are very interesting because they say something about the painting.
And
So,
somehow it is again related with the kind of a pandemic.
okay.
Because what I was reading something about this lady called Hala, um, whose that immortalized cells, are used for
Yeah.
developing the vaccine for the polio.
Yeah.
So she is all around us. In fact, all around the atmosphere, this her cells are around there, and that's a great story. That how and there is some kind of memorial also in US for her contribution as a she was a cancer patient, and before dying, the cells were removed from her body, and those were used to develop this polio vaccine or something else. So I was wondering about it, that as if she is there everywhere in the atmosphere. So she's like a cosmic traveler, unending cosmic travel, and that's how we could stop polio. And right now, in fact, somebody told me that exactly similar kind of technique scientists are also thinking about, can we for developing the vaccine for this new uh, pandemic of corona. So this is about Hala. Yeah.
I see. I see. I see. So that was your early painting. So
Yeah.
even early paintings, you were, again, you and Vaishali both, you were trying to express your thoughts
Right.
or
Right,
your
yeah.
beliefs,
Yeah.
And when somebody is trying to do that, I think it opens them up.
Right.
It opens them up to their antennas are up, I think, in sensing. And this
Yeah.
is your early painting also.
Yeah, one of the first ones. Yeah.
This was your first one. This actually is like
one of the first ones. I remember very I
Yeah.
had taken some poster colors and was starting something. And
it's
this was like
almost like it reminds me of MF Hussain, but a Chagall version of MF Hussain.
I was just was trying to put some color on the like a child. I was playing with the colors.
Right. So starting from here, then you will, you will go ahead and you went ahead and became who you are now. Okay, so let's see if there is anybody who wants to ask any questions. Let's see. Question and answer. I don't know if there is any question that people are asking right now. Let me just check. I think some of the things I've already asked you. Somebody is saying, I think Pawan is saying, best market predictions are generally coming from the outsiders. That may be true. Yeah. Okay. So, okay, Hela. So great. So somebody saying her name is Henrietta Lacks. Great, Sanjeev.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's cool, huh? So your paintings always have a context, I would say, except for this one where you were really.
Yeah, this one, like I was just freaking around, like doing anything, and somebody had just kept those things with them. So good that I could see it back again.
Right. Okay. All right. So now let's see. I'm going to now move on to the next topic, which is to both of you clairvoyants. I want to ask you, what are you predicting now? Like, is there anything in your art that you are trying to express and something that we should be wary of or worry about?
Well, I think, frankly, as we were talking this morning also, both as an artist, writer, and poet, we are not definitely in the job
the
of business of prediction,
business,
forecasting. What happens is, of course, sometimes what happens is that as an artist or poet, writer, you see things differently, and you just flag them out. So about this New Mutant, when we did the series, we were working from 2008 onwards. This actual show was in 2010, or maybe Anthropocene. Capitalocene is being told by so many writers are talking about it. So many people are talking about it for the last 4 or 5 years, that something unholy is going to happen. Something is going to strike us very badly. So scientists, writers, artists, thinkers, again and again, they are flagging out. The problem is how much still we know that we're not supposed to drill in the Antarctic, but people are drilling even there also for the oil. So these are the things which are being shown. I mean, you don't require a prediction for that. Somebody is putting a drill in the Antarctic. That itself is like, you're drilling the entire Earth. Like you're bringing a huge disaster to this whole thing.
Yeah.
Nobody required to. I mean, when we saw that Brazil thing and the whole Amazon burning, you don't require a prediction. We know that what's going to happen now.
Yeah.
So things around us are showing. That's why one of the titles of our show was this show, which we have everything you wanted to know about your bad breath, but we're afraid to ask Alfred Hitchcock. So we know why bad breath is there, but we don't want to look at it. So that's how it is. Everywhere there, signs are there. Mm, Somebody is telling you, and we need to take the clues from there. So prediction is less important, I think. What is important is how much we see things around us, what they're telling us.
Yeah. So is this one, the one that you see on the screen, this is also, I think, from the series Song of Scenes, right? And
This is the second series of everything you wanted to know about the bad breath. That
okay,
series.
it's from there. Okay, so this is this one, and I'm very curious to know what are you trying to say in this particular art. And I'm also going to show another one from this series, which is also a refrigerator, just a close up. Okay, so there are these refrigerators. This is well. Okay, this is a refrigerator here, and there is another refrigerator. So there are a series of refrigerators, and each one of them has something else that is actually happening. So Vaishali, can you talk a little bit about what are you guys trying to show in this particular one, in these two?
I think she's trying to do is.
Yeah. Okay. Now, can you say it again? You were unmuted. I mean, you were muted.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, here we are talking about a global warming. So this is the extension of the Anthropocene subject which we have described in Ragamala series. And here we are talking about, if you see the image, that image is itself is a fridge. The fridge, I don't have to describe anything about the fridge because everybody knows that how the pollution is created by the fridge. And our image is about the dough, the farmers having the problems. And inside the sea, the global warming is the how is creating the problem. The coral is changing their colors, So this, and you can see the down there is a glass. You can see the each glass where we have shown is a melting ice. So actually we are talking about the global warming in this and the current situations where we have to think about it, where everybody is looking beautiful, but behind that there is a serious concern and the questions, and we have to rethink about it. So the mushroom, as you know, that the mushroom is a form, like a mushroom is a thing which comes on a date things. So sometimes we have used that to express the content. Then in this work only we have used mango plant also.
I see.
Where we are talking about, so that's a third one which we have not shown, but like I'm talking about, there are so many forms we have used to express that.
Yes.
The whole idea is basically to talk about Capitalocene, the idea of environment. The freeze itself is a very interesting product which we all use, and part of it that anybody's freeze door when opened, I mean, generally a bad odor comes. So it's and it's supposed to store something fresh inside. So kind of a dead has become a fresh now in the new age of our times. Everything dead. I mean, freshly frozen itself is a how can you have freshly frozen thing? You should have fresh either, or you should have frozen either. So that's how the whole thing is being played here with. So fridge becomes a kind of a symbol of our entire life today, and fridge cools things inside, like air conditioner cools things inside. At the same time, it gives huge amount of heat outside. So that's the hey. And on this bridge, we have variety of painting. We did painting also on sculptures. Like here, the mushrooms are there. Mushrooms grow on a dead, as Shali said. Then another thing, there was a portrait we had put up of people who, farmers and Adivasis who walked from Nasik to Mumbai and barefoot, and they had same thing happening now. The entire migrated labor is going back to their places without chappals, without barefoot. They're walking they without food. They're walking without water. They're walking. So all these things, which are part of our new life, are being shown here in a kind of artistic way. So and the whole sculpture comes up.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, what you are trying to do is, I mean, this is the Anthropocene, which is, human beings are influencing. They are trying to control everything, and that actually is creating all these kinds of probably effects that are not going to be all constructive. And we have to be aware of what we are doing with our influence. Like you're talking about the fridge and what the fridge is creating. So there are people, in fact, who would like to ask you questions. I am wondering, Tejas, you have a long question. Would you like to talk instead of typing? And if yes, then please raise your hand, then I will let you talk and ask your question directly to Sanjeev instead of reading it out. And I will read it out also. Tejas is saying that your art is very, okay, he's saying, just had a question. Art is very niche to begin with. A lot of it is very layered and not easy to decipher. I was wondering, well, somebody else started. Okay, he's saying that I was wondering and wanted Sanjeev and Vaishali's take on it. When most art is fairly difficult to access in terms of its hidden layers and meanings for most people, can the message the artist wants to convey and the questions the artist wants to ask through it ever reach the people really?
There's one thing. I mean, that's just like this. I mean, I know we do not produce art to give any message. Neither we produce art to decorate something or please someone. We're putting things together and we're putting it in front of the people. Whether it reaches to people or not is another thing. Sometimes it reaches. Sometimes yes. If it were not reached, I think Swati would have not interviewed us today. So it reaches definitely. It does reach. It does reach, and it has got its own effect. Some are seen immediately, some are not seen immediately. But in a long term, yes. I mean, all of us, what we are today, are because what we read, what we see, and what we listen to. The kind of music we listen, kind of things we read, kind of films we see. So all this together has made us what we are today. And so yes, I mean, it reaches also. That's how we become friends. Or sometimes we don't like each other. So all those things, we create our own aesthetic line, and that's very important. In fact, most of the times in one of my recent books, I've written ultimately what is important for artist, writer, poet, thinker, scientist to develop the right aesthetic line for our society. If that is made properly, then yes, half of the war is over. But unfortunately, mediocrity today has become a kind of a rule of our life. And Oscar Wilde has once said that shallowness and mediocrity is the supreme crime and needs to be dealt with the supreme punishment. So I think our job is to remove this shallowness from the society, and as much as possible. So therefore, it reaches. I think. Thank you.
Yeah. No, you're right. Again, that also kind of raises an interesting question. Artists, are they creating art because they want people to understand it, or they are creating art because they are wanting to express something about themselves? Like, is it important?
In both ways, it goes both ways. I mean, it is self-discovery journey, process of self-discovery. All art with the music or writing or self-discovery. But of course, I mean, we distribute it, we share it, and we are looking for a comrade. And somebody has said very beautifully that we are consistently, all of us, and you are in mindfulness and the thing you will tell us properly, but all of us are in search of some kind of a implicit reader, implicit viewer, implicit friend, who's outside and trying, so that you may not meet him in a complete form, but in some form you will meet somewhere. So that's how we all travel together to meet someone who will listen to you and who will respond back to you. So that implicit reader or implicit viewer, we are all in search of, and that's how it goes on. So art we make because we're not able to do anything else, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the right answer.
Yeah. I am
like I tried number of things, I could not do many things, and I realized that this is what I can do, but rest of things I can't do.
Yeah, you were, but number of things as a profession, but then you were writing also, and then eventually you found you still write. So you found a medium to express yourself. That was what gives you the sense of meaning. I can see that you're very passionate about it. I have a question. I think Asmit, I think we will give the mic to Asmit if that's okay with him.
Yes, it's fine. Can I ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead. Is that Asmit?
Yes, this is Asmit.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Sanjeev. Hi, Vaishali. Thank you, Swati, for doing this. This is really beautiful, listening to these two immensely talented and wonderful souls and one of my favorite artists. I have a question. I just want to combine the question that was asked earlier and what Sanjeev said about when you asked him about Enron and capitalism. I don't know, this question, I might have asked the same question to Sanjeev many times in different forms, but here it is again, Sanjeev. I'll just read it out what I had written. Borrowing from the earlier question about the accessibility of art, how does an artist like yourself, who takes an anti-capitalist stance, how do you see your art in the context of the inequality that capitalism brings with it? And how do you manage to break the class borders created by this system in order for your work to be accessed and available for the masses? And by the masses here, I mean the proletariat.
One thing is very clear, and I always, in fact, see two things, and always I believe art should be accessible and affordable to everybody. And unfortunately, we have got into this idea of market rules and regulations, and is regulated in the process of evolution or artistic evolution, as well as the process of our as a society. I think it will be more accessible to the people. Interestingly, I remember Karl Marx was asked this question about how do we decide about the price of the art. There was a beautiful letter written to him, written by him to, I'll tell you subsequently the name of the person. But he said that art and poetry should not be, priced the way we will price any other labor. Because he said, and he gives a huge explanation how it should be. It's difficult to price the art. So in that way, yes, it is little expensive than what the way we look at it, and it will be. But if we make effort to make it publicly available in public places, etc., then of course it is a great thing. Those efforts need to be done by the democratically elected governments, and then it becomes easy for everybody to have some kind of access with the art. But yes, what you said, there's a point is that right now the art is not easily available to many of us. But I find it very difficult to reach to art. Even a book of art is also expensive, I think, these days. Is that right, Daspreet? Anything else you wanted to say?
No,
If
I
I
mean, there was a
rightly understood.
follow-up question, but do we have the time for that?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. You have a few
Uh,
more minutes, so go ahead.
Okay, great. So basically, yes, about accessibility of art, and I understand the democratic forces have to come into play for art to be accessible to the masses at large. But I also speak from the point of view of performance art. I mean, as a performance artist myself, we face this
Yeah,
problem also while
yeah,
creating our art, because that needs a certain amount
yeah,
of
yeah,
financial investment as well. And there are the market limitations that we function within as well. And I'm sure the even for art in general, it sort of applies everywhere. From your experience, or from so many years of creating that you have been involved with this, any how have you sort of come to terms with it yourself, with because of this stance that you take of being anti-capitalist, and I mean, how like, I think, ideologically, how does that work with you?
well, what's the problem? I don't see any problem because I don't see any inconsistency
Hmm.
in whatever I'm doing today or yesterday or tomorrow. So, what I'm writing, or what I'm producing as art, and what I'm leaving, I mean, just all go hand in hand. Uh, there are always, I mean, people ask this question about this. People, I mean, all of us, we work at various places, and uh, we must understand and we must accept that we are working and living in a very clear capitalist system. So we are part of the whole system. It is internalized. Please remember that. I mean, you or me, wherever we are, and whatever we are doing is internalized in us. Is one thing. So I always tell one thing to myself and to others, that all of us, anti or pro, whatever it is, we are all attending invitation for a dinner party of a devil, and we honor them in that dinner party. The question is, now you're there, how, what is the length of your spoon and fork, if you have a longer the fork, longer the spoon, better. So that's what I do, and that's what all of us do, I think, uh, which is
Yes.
very important, that we all are attending devil's party. It's not none of us. I mean, nobody on this earth. We are in the system, and the system is internalized now. It's part of our
Yes, we are
biological
conditioned
system.
by the system.
So,
Yeah.
so in this situation, most important thing is, where do we stand, and another thing is choices you make. What
Hmm.
choice you make, that is very important. With whom you are going to stand, what are you going to put at the stake? So that's very
Hmm.
important. And if you are uh, probably answering these questions to yourself, then I think there should not be any problem. That's how it is.
Hmm.
So what you're
Okay.
saying is be consistent. You're saying be consistent with your own values and what you're putting in out.
Right,
Yeah. So once you compromise on that, then you have to have a lot more struggle.
right. And burden also. Any compromise gives you burden, and I don't have to. You're a psychologist, and you know that how we carry your own burdens.
Yeah. So Pawan has something to ask you. I'm going to give him the
Yeah,
mic. Pawan,
yeah,
Yeah, Sanjeev, I wanted to understand or your take on the capitalist, since you're coming from an anti-capitalist stance. So generally, art is more, let's say, bought as the liquidity starts getting into the system. So, example, 2003, 2007 is when people had a lot of excess liquidity. Probably they looked at art as a purchase, as an asset class, and bought it. And post that, when the depression, I think when the liquidity squeeze happens, then the general tendency is not to, buy art. So how would you kind of relate to excess liquidity capitalism, which actually leads to a lot of buying of art versus liquidity crunch?
yeah. I mean, I can just I am this. Number one, I'm not expert on economics and market activity. Definitely, I'm an artist. So that's one thing. But second thing, I had written in 2010 one long article in Economic Times. And subsequently also I wrote one article in Marathi Diwali issue also, which Economic Times article, and this article basically deals with the idea of art as a bazaar, art as a market, and what has happened over a period of time in last 300-400 years of art history, how art became a kind of a commodity. And in this system today, everything is being bought and sold. Why art? Art is everything. I mean, from education, art, human beings, everything is being bought and sold. So that's how the whole system is. And well, art has unfortunately become a part of that whole system. It has become, I mean, it is used as a commodity, but everything today is being used as a commodity. So nothing, I mean, nothing surprising here. The question is why and how? Yes, I mean, there's a huge history to it. I will have to deal with separately. But if you read this particular article in Economic Times, you just search Sanjeev Khandekar Economic Times, so you'll find it quite a detailed article which I had written some time back. 2010, I remember it.
So Sanjeev, based on what Pawan is asking you, I have a question for you. I think, Pawan, are you saying that basically the artists do benefit from the capitalistic market?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So you
So
are saying
if
that,
art gets sold more,
then the artist
if art gets benefits, period.
So given that, then you are wondering, you are asking Sanjeev, how can an artist be anti-capitalist when they actually benefit from the market forces?
No, we all are benefited by. See, we all are benefited by this. I mean, this we are living in this system, which is capitalist system, which I already said, and it is already internalized into it, and we all are benefited by when something is sold and something is bought, or somebody gets a job, or someone doesn't get a job, and still all of us we say that this system needs to be changed because we see this system has done havocs all around. I mean, this COVID is one of the things which we all are facing right now. So I'm not interested whether my art sells or not, but definitely this kind of thing. I mean, this kind of attack on humanity is more important for me. I mean, that's why. And if that's the part of the system, then I don't want this system. So that is what I keep on telling. Second thing is, these are temporary things. Like when one gets benefit, doesn't get benefit. When we evaluate system as such, we are not going to get into who got benefit and who didn't get the benefit. We will look at the system as such, and then we very clearly see that this system is built on a greed and deceit. This system is for a few people. We all know that only 1% of the people, how much they own. We all know that what happened to the migrant labor very recently, which is in front of us, how people are traveling from hundreds and thousands of kilometers on foot. So we have seen this. We've seen wars coming up. We've seen what people are talking about it. We've seen about the lynching and other things happening all around. So I can give variety of examples. And after seeing that, whether a piece of art is sold or not is less important. What is important is, can we change this? And everybody gets benefit, and everybody gets a little better life, a peaceful life. That's how it is. So that's why,
Sanjeev, you are saying, so what you're saying is all these evils that you talked about, you are kind of attributing it to the current system. But then the alternative system, are you proposing an alternative system that doesn't exist currently? What is your ideal system? That's the last question I want to ask you, and then we will close this.
Yeah, I think we have, see, it's like this. First, once we decide that we do not want this system, then there are so many alternatives. Again, I mean, this this is unending kind of a discussion then, because I'll have to explain in details about my idea about alternate system. But the basic thing is the system which will not have war, which will not have, which very beautifully Marx had said that luxury. I mean, this kind of the idea of there will be, everybody will be artists in that world. So that kind of world is possible. It's not impossible thing. What is needed is we need to point out this greed of a few people and the whole idea of politics that needs to be pointed out. We need to stand on the side of the people who are fighting this against huge powers and mights. So that's how it is. It will start opening up the road, and we will find a alternate system. The alternate system will not be. It's not like switch on and switch off. We'll have to. This capitalism developed in over 300, 400 years, and it's this wonderful animal called capitalism keeps changing as new mutant. Every time it's a new mutant. So it took 300 to 400 years to develop this kind of thing. So definitely, alternate system also will take some time, but we need to give thought.
We need to give a lot of thought, because we don't want to.
Good that from art to politics we are coming. That's very good thing.
We don't want to throw baby with the bathwater. So in a way, the question is, how do we get rid of the greed? I totally agree with you. It would be wonderful to live in a world where there are no wars. But the question is, what is creating it? And is there something else we need to change? So that's for another event.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, we need to conclude. That has been really interesting. I think you have woken a lot of people up. And probably they have questions that they are not asking you. But that's okay. That's okay. And at this point, I have to say thank you so much to you and Vaishali. And
thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for creating this kind of art and to have this kind of devotion and this kind of ability to convert your ideas into beautiful art that also has a message. So thank you both of you for coming to Samanvay and answering all our questions, the ones who were brave enough to ask you questions. And Pawan is saying, lovely listening to you, and thank you from all of you, and see you again soon. See you again soon.
Thank you very much, Swati. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's wonderful.
Okay, bye, Vaishali. I think she is not there, but say bye to her, Sanjeev, from us.
I'll defend.
Okay, bye.